Yeah, I feel like life is in stages, and so you go through these peaks and valleys, and just like these very high moments and very low moments. I mean, I've like been in church a lot of my life, all my life. Basically, my dad's a pastor, and so I've been in church, and that can be tricky. I work in Christian music industry, and that can be tricky because you're marrying the idea of like business and enterprise with faith. So some expectations can be like lost in the middle of those things of like, is this a business situation, or is this a faith situation? And just learning how to honestly balance that. And so I'll just say like you could be disappointed by an unmet expectation on either side. Oh, we
Yeah.
we need to be top notch on business, or well, he was my spiritual. I looked up to him and he failed, and now I don't. You know what I mean? It's like I think that's kind of how my journey has been. I've just been through a lot, like especially in those two in the Christian music business, in the Christian music industry. I don't know about like one specific thing, but there have just been moments, and then I have to look back and just say, man, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this
Yeah.
to satisfy something within myself, or am I doing this for the Lord? Because it can get hard to where you're like, I'm done.
Welcome to The Climb, where I help Christian men live fully, lead boldly, and leave a legacy that matters. I'm your host, Teko Bailey, husband, father, life coach, and your guide in the climb. Whether you're navigating fatherhood, building a business, or simply longing to live more purpose, this is a space to rise.
Derek, I see you wear several hats. You're a songwriter, a singer, an executive director, creative director, and a musician. What inspired you to pursue what you're doing today?
I mean, uh, just honestly, the Lord. I've been doing it since birth, and so it just kind of happened naturally.
Can you take me back a little bit to when you started all of this? Who inspired you, or if you had a mentor or anyone that kind of nudged you into that direction?
Yeah, I did. I had a mentor. His name is Sput Seawright, Robert Sput Seawright. He's a Dallas musician and just a great guy. He took me under his wing and just really like taught me a lot about drums. I'm a drummer first, and he's a
Come
drummer.
on.
And so like, yeah, I mean, I would say that he was one of my first mentors. I used to like travel around with him and set up his drums, like it wasn't anything glamorous. But I mean, just that time with him and the spaces that we were in taught me a lot about just music. And he's a producer, multi Grammy award winning producer, and so that just taught me a lot about like how to be a musician and see how it works, and that just helped me along the way for sure.
What would you say was one of your biggest highlight back in those days as you were learning and seeing things you're not quite where you wanted to be? Take me back a little bit to
Yeah,
those days when it's just like maybe you were envisioning
yeah,
who you could become.
yeah. I mean, he was the drummer for Snarky Puppy, and
Come
so
on.
just to like be around those people. He was also Kirk's producer. Snarky Puppy and Kirk Franklin are like two top, and so just being in those environments and being around people like that just really helped me to navigate like, oh, okay, it doesn't get much bigger than these two
Come on.
groups, you know what I mean, and what they do. And so I was just able to learn and watch and be able to navigate those spaces.
Was there a season where you experienced a challenging situation, maybe something that was significant. Talk to me about what that might have been like and how the Lord took you through that season.
Yeah, I feel like life is in stages, and so you go through these peaks and valleys, and just like these very high moments and very low moments. I mean, I've like been in church a lot of my life, all my life. Basically, my dad's a pastor, and so I've been in church, and that can be tricky. I work in Christian music industry, and that can be tricky because you're marrying the idea of like business and enterprise with faith. So some expectations can be like lost in the middle of those things of like, is this a business situation, or is this a faith situation? And just learning how to honestly balance that. And so I'll just say like you could be disappointed by an unmet expectation on either side. Oh, we
Yeah.
we need to be top notch on business, or well, he was my spiritual. I looked up to him and he failed, and now I don't. You know what I mean? It's like I think that's kind of how my journey has been. I've just been through a lot, like especially in those two in the Christian music business, you know, in the Christian music industry. I don't know about like one specific thing, but there have just been moments, and then I have to look back and just say, man, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this
Yeah.
to satisfy something within myself, or am I doing this for the Lord? Because it can get hard to where you're like, I'm done. But I have to remind myself, God, I'm doing this for you, and you
Come
place
on.
these abilities in me, and I just want to glorify you with them. And so that's kind of how I'm able to push forward and just really lean on the Lord in the times that I don't understand what he's doing.
You've had some unique exposure. You said you've been around Snarky Puppy, Kirk Franklin, those people, and your mentor really had a good impact on you. Having had those experiences and leading in the spaces that you lead, how do you do that effectively, or how do you use some of those experiences to maybe guide upcoming leaders or musicians to kind of steer them in a better direction?
I produced a song for an artist who's on the Capital label, Capital Music Group, the
Yeah.
Christian side, and the song that I produced is a little bit different than the other songs on her record, and her A&R was talking to me, and he was like, this sounds like this. I feel like this song will give her artistry. It'll make her artistry shine. And in my head, I'm like, that's what we spoke. Like her whole album should be speaking to her
Come on.
artistry. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
and so I think just creating from a space, like from an artistic space, like music is an artistic expression of thought and feeling. It's nothing other than that. And if you're not staying true to the artistry, then what are you? You know what I mean? Like, why are you making
That's right.
songs? And so I think for me, I'm always just trying to stay true to, uh, true to like, man, what, who is this artist, and what are they really trying to communicate? Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's how I approach songs. I'm not like the best songwriter or the best producer, and so my opinion is not necessarily the greatest opinion in the room. I'm always like looking at like, okay, who am I creating for, and like
Yeah.
who is this artist really, and what are they really trying to say? And I feel like that helps me to create something authentic and real, and like he said, brings out the artistry in the artists. Like that's
Well, I think God does that with us too, where He's looking at who's this person that I'm creating and
yeah,
dropping different things in us because of what He wants us to portray to the world. And I think
yeah,
He's using you to do the same in the people around you. Like, hey, let's focus on this area, let's build this area, let's, maybe you want to cut off certain pieces and then focus on other areas so they can shine. And I think it takes somebody who is in a mastery of what they're doing to bring that out of you.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge blessing to be able to see somebody and help them create a roadmap to where they want to get to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that too, just like being a mastery of your craft, is another thing. It's like, you can only take somebody so far, as far as you come.
That's right.
And that's with anything, like, you're always learning, right? I mean, you want to know your instrument, you want to know music, you want to know sounds, you want to know more than just like the basic thing, and then
Come on.
you can kind of take the artist along. You can go along the journey with the artist.
One of the things I love about music and musicians, especially when you have a really good producer or director, is they can hear your voice and know what style or type of
Yeah,
songs that
yeah,
fits your voice.
yeah,
It's like somebody who is singing classical music, they might not be very good at
yeah,
R&B,
yeah,
or unless they're like Alicia Keys and can do a nice
yeah,
crossover,
yeah, yeah,
they can mix it nicely. But
yeah,
some people get the sense that, like, oh, my voice can't do that. Well, sometimes it's who is directing you or helping you to steer you
yeah,
in the right
yeah,
direction. What's your experience been like working with artists in that kind of context?
yeah. There's definitely that where it's like, you know, uh, self awareness is key. Like in every situation. I know my limitations as well, and I'm not trying to go past them. But yeah, I mean, I think just being self-aware as an artist or as a producer or as a writer, knowing your strengths. Sometimes it's like you get with people and they're what they think of their strength may not be, and and
Yeah,
then you kind of like, but you kind of walk. That's why I say you go along, you go on the journey with the artist, you go on the journey with the person, and I think that's when you can create something beautiful. I feel like my the songs that I create are feel most authentic because I'm trying to go I'm not trying to lead them anywhere.
yeah,
I'm following them even sometimes. I'm just like, we're gonna go on the journey together. And then,
that's right.
I may make a step here and you may make a step there. And like, but we're going to go on this journey together. And I feel like that's when the product becomes like way more than it could be. If I'm just writing a song and giving it to somebody.
I love that. You're going in as a learner and then being their guide. Are you a dad, Derek?
I am. My wife and I have two kids, 6 and 14.
Come on. All
Six
right.
and
So talk to me
14.
talk to me a little bit about fatherhood. What's your biggest highlight of being a dad, and maybe take me into a little bit of the challenges, maybe
Yeah.
areas that you wish you could have done differently.
Yeah. I would say, fathering and even being married, it's the same thing. It's like I'm always trying to go in as a learner, and I'm trying to take the
Come
journey with
on.
with my kids and with my wife, like because the age got like 6 and then 14. It's like we treat the
Yeah,
14-year-old different than the 6, and vice versa.
that's
And
right.
you're always just like, okay, how do I? 6-year-old's a boy, 14-year-old's a girl, and so you're like, how do I? Two different temperaments, two different
Yeah.
ideas of life, two different, just like everything. And so you're just like trying to go on the journey with them and be a parent and teach, you know, discipline and have be consistent, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah,
have boundaries, but also be fun at the same.
that's right.
And so I think that's what I've learned. I think my biggest hurdle is when you think you know it all.
Yeah.
When you're not willing to learn or listen to your kids. and just like, you just have to listen to them and hear not just like what they're saying, but hear their heart,
Yeah.
and just really focus as is with creating, as is with being married, as is with any relationship. You're not gonna always get it right,
So true.
and so, but it's just like, man, if I can have the grace, and then good support system, man. I think family is important. Especially the younger kids. Younger kids are very impressionable, and so it's just like, family is really important, and who you put around you and your kids, and just the mentorship there. So yeah, man.
No, that's good. I think having the right community and support is always very helpful when you're growing a family. What has been two of your biggest learning moments as a parent, and maybe what are a few things you wish you know before you became a dad?
Yeah, I mean, so I was a young dad, a 14-year-old. I was 19. And so I just wish I knew the value of, and to be totally transparent, my wife and I, it's my 14-year-old and her 6-year-old. And I think just like understanding the weight of blended family, understanding like the challenges in that. Like, I talk to my daughter, and I'm like, I talk to her about that all the time. And you're young and you hear about like, reproductivity, especially
Come on.
when it comes to church, and it's like, oh, just don't
Come
do
on.
this thing. But it's like, no, there's like a proper way that honestly, like, that
Yeah.
not just honors God, but honors you, honors any relationship that you want to be in, honors
Yeah,
any direction that you want to go, because it's like
that's
it
right.
truly gets convoluted, and it's like, it can crowd, uh something that shouldn't be as crowded. The parent room is not, there's two tables in the parent room, not four or five
So
or
true.
12. So it's just like, I think that's the, one of the biggest things that I've just learned. But I think we get to build something beautiful,
Nice.
even in the midst of mistakes, and
Come on.
obviously we're not going to get it right every time, but
Yeah,
we try to communicate and try to steward our family well, and it starts with me. I have to stewarding our marriage well, and stewarding how
that's
we're
right.
parenting our children together. And so yeah,
I like how you touched on that point in terms of being in the church, a young man. And I think I've observed a lot of guys in the church, younger age, we need mentorship, we need discipleship. And at different stages and seasons in your life, you're going through different things as a man and you don't have all the answers. And
yeah,
whether you're testing out what your friends are saying or what society is saying, and you're not really sure, do I go left, do I go right? And I think a lot of young men are in the church struggling in that place.
yeah,
What would you say in terms of guiding a guy who is listening to this in that space and wishing he had somebody who could kind of mentor him or give him better guidance,
yeah,
and just maybe lost in society because there's church and then there's society telling you something else?
yeah.
What would you say to him?
Yeah, man. I think a lot. I think honesty is key. Finding spaces of honesty and vulnerability. There's a lot of men struggling with pornography in church.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
a lot of men who struggle with lust, and I mean, because you're married or in a position doesn't make you less of a man.
Exactly.
And so I think just finding spaces, and I think we, as on the other side of the mentorship, have to be honest about moments that we've struggled with pornography. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think the thing
Yeah.
that helps my marriage most is me not doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not run into pornography, or
Come on.
uh whatever the case may be, or Instagram or whatever. I don't know. And I heard this guy, I can't think of his name, James Wilson, I think.
Yeah,
He
I know who
he's
you're talking.
he's
J.R. Wilson. Yeah.
he's an incredible dude. But he was just saying, like, his love for his wife doesn't keep him from treating his wife well. Because on the days that he
Mm,
doesn't love her as much, or if he's aggravated, he's gonna love her less. If that's the case, if
come
if
on.
if your actions are totally, uh, if the foundation of your actions are your feelings, then they will always fail you.
Whoa, whoa,
and
whoa.
and like, the fear of the Lord has to be the foundation of your feelings. And so it's like, I don't watch porn because I think it'll hurt my wife. I don't watch
Yeah,
porn because I feel the Lord. I don't watch porn
yeah,
because I am a man who runs after God's heart. I don't treat my kids well because they're doing good at school, or you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I treat them well because I fear the Lord. And I
That's
think
right.
when your foundation is the fear of God and not like this person's opinion, or this person being nice to you, or then it'll always fail you.
Hmm. Wow, I love that response. That's a really good one because I think not many of us grew up with this healthy perspective on who God is and the fear of the Lord. So sometimes we don't even know how to um get deeper in our relationship with him because it's part of it too in the fear of the Lord is that the Holy Spirit is convicting you
Yeah,
when you're either doing something that you shouldn't do or considering doing it,
yeah,
and it's that depth in the relationship that you have that brings the fear of the Lord
yeah,
because your mind is really being renewed. And I think for anybody who is listening in, it is a journey of renewing of the mind.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love how you talk about that because part of it too is, if you do fall, if you do mess up, it's running back to the Lord or those you have chosen to be accountable um to just say, hey, this is what the situation is and I need your help, I need your
Yeah,
support.
yeah,
And that can be hard sometimes if you don't have one or two persons that
yeah,
can be a good listening ear. How could a guy, um, let me say, seek out maybe an older guy or somebody else who is a listening ear? What are some characteristics, or how would you advise a
yeah,
younger guy or any man who is seeking another male friend to support him in this journey?
yeah. And I try to find people who I see are just further than me, in the journey.
Come
And
on.
so I'm a married man. Uh, and also, I think this matters, but I'm a married Black man, married to a
Yeah,
Black woman.
come on.
And so I really, truthfully, I try to seek a older Black man who's married to a Black woman.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's right. They
uh,
understand it.
you understand the whole
Come
gamut,
on.
like, not just, and then not like, not that cross cultural mentorship is bad, but they're just some things that, you know, uh, they're just some
You
things
won't
that
have
can't
to
be
explain
missed.
it too much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, just recently, my wife and I had to call I just call an older friend of mine, a pastor, and we went over to his house and we just wept. You know what I mean? And
Come
they just
on.
talked to us,
Come
and
on.
like,
Come on.
uh, we were just overwhelmed with, like, life, and just things happening in our life, and not knowing what to do. And not that they had like this grand answer to give us, but they just understood. They understood exactly the situation, and just let
Mm,
us kind of process with them, like, and this is hard, this is real, but God love you, like,
that's
and
right.
yeah. And so I would just say, like, try to find somebody. If you're a married Hispanic dude, go try to find a older married Hispanic guy who can, like, you won't have to say 5 words, and he's gonna be like,
That's
I've been
right.
exactly where you are, you know? And so I think for me, I'm really particular about who I share life with.
And you should be. You should be. I think that is part of the seeking out. It's trusting the person, because if trust isn't there, then the relationship will fall apart.
Yeah,
And I think God
absolutely.
wants us to be in those communities that we're getting the kind of support and levels of trust, because that's what relationship is built on.
Yeah, yeah.
You've worked with different types of artists. Is there any projects that's coming up? What are some any new music? Talk to me about what's happening in the industry and any projects that
Yeah.
you're working on.
I'm working on some songs with a really good friend of mine, Tadashi, who's Reach Records artist. Old friend. We've been friends for a long time. And
Wow,
we've just been through seasons together, and I'm just always we talk on the phone, and I'm always like, man, God has so much purpose for what we're creating right now, and a lot of the
that's
songs we
right.
kind of created before these seasons started, and
Whoa,
and it was like, oh, I didn't know that that song was actually gonna mean this, you know. Uh, yeah, and so yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for Jamie McDonald. I'm working with an artist named Jamie McDonald, and the song that we created, and it was gonna be her single. I'm excited for that. Myself and Rita Springer are working on some stuff, and so I'm just
nice.
excited to kind of see what comes out of that. Myself
Come on.
and PMJ are always working and just trying to figure out what's next for him. Just being like, I guess the biggest gospel artist out right now.
Yeah,
And so just figuring that out. And I have a few songs that are coming out with churches just around the world, uh, in the UK, here in America. So I'm excited for those. Yeah, it's a good season. Music is always like a hurry up and wait process. It's like
yeah.
some of these songs have been written a while ago, and they're just coming out. But as long as they're out and impacting people, man, it feels
Wow.
good.
You're the second person I've interviewed that said the same statement. Uh, there's another guy from Olelo Music. His name is he's slipping me right now, but he's doing something with Netflix, and he said the same thing. He's from Hawaii. Um, Chase Cohane. He was just recently in Nashville. He said, sometimes I write these songs years before, and
Yeah,
then it's now a movie comes out or something comes
yeah,
out, and then you just never know
yes,
when they're gonna
yeah,
become something. So,
yeah. I mean, even
um,
the song that you were listening to before we jumped on, that beat was for another artist.
whoa,
And PMJ called me after the Stellars. So the Steelers, they did it, but it aired a little bit later. And so he called me after, and he had won all these awards and all this stuff. And he's like, "Man, I need a song." So I sent him two records actually. Uh, but that was one I wrote. I wrote a song on that beat with somebody else,
yeah,
and her label, she's a CCM artist, and her label was like, "Man, it's just too hard for CCM. It's too hard for
yeah,
Christian radio." So we end up putting that song that we wrote over like an acoustic guitar. And I would always tell him like, "Man, you need to release both of these because this is like this song is gonna go crazy." But I guess one man's no is another man's yes. I guess.
that's right.
Because when PMJ called me, I'm like, man, this might be perfect for this
Come
situation
on,
and just like everything that he's doing right now. And of course he loved it. And so it just like worked. I took the vocal opposite to him. And
come on.
he got busy and did his thing on it. And yeah, so it's just
I love that. I love that. What would you say to artists or musician just coming up and they're maybe afraid, whether it's insecurity or just not um been in the industry long enough to be confident about their sound or their style, and because they haven't stepped out, they're holding back a gift that's supposed to bless the world or release let me use the term an anointing that's supposed to shift things in our culture or in our generation, because sometimes I think a lot of people are sitting down on their gifting or something God has called them to that's supposed to help steer our generation and society in a certain direction. How would you encourage somebody like that, especially an artist in the music industry that needs to be stepping out but they're a little bit insecure or uncertain?
Timing is everything. Timing is everything, and just because music is hard work, man. It is hard work, and you have to really dedicate a lot. I mean, as an artist, uh, posting every day and doing, just like
Yeah,
feeding social media, and it costs money to do records and all of the things, and so timing is everything. Support is great. There are ways that you can come up with a free album or a cheap album if you like. You find a friend and you're like, "Hey, can you produce this album? I'll give you 50% of the back end, and I'll give
yeah,
you $3,000 to do 6 songs." So there are just ways like doing it in community. Like it really takes a lot, and it takes a lot of just thought and work, and just like songs aren't just hits. Just because it's your favorite
yeah,
song doesn't mean it's gonna be a hit.
yeah,
You know, and so just being able to understand like it takes a lot of work to be an artist, and just the right timing, and then finding the support again. Like every album doesn't cost 20 grand. Go find a
yeah,
producer and just say, hey, I wanna do this, and maybe it's not the full Taylor Swift. Maybe it's just your voice and an acoustic guitar,
yeah,
or maybe it's not maybe it's like there are a whole bunch of ways to make songs. I mean, take it from Forrest Frank. Like
yeah.
he's probably writing these songs in 10 minutes.
Lemonade.
Yeah, it's like, come on,
That
man.
happened in his bed, right?
Yeah, it's like I think people put pressure on themselves to just like do the Dolly Parton thing, and that like
Yeah,
those days are over. You can make a
yeah,
song
yeah.
by
Anywhere.
anywhere, man. You can do
Yeah,
like it's pretty. It's not easy, but it is. If you want to do it, you can do it.
yeah, yeah.
And just find somebody who cares about your craft and who will work with you, and just go from there.
Yeah. I would add to that and just say start with what you have.
Start what you
Because I
have.
think
Yeah,
sometimes we look around and we're like, oh, this guy has this, and that,
yeah,
and he has this. We were like, oh, well, I can't do it because I don't have all
yeah,
those things. But
yeah,
it's like, start with what you have, and then bit by bit, somebody hear you, they're like, oh, I want to do something with you, and you
yeah.
never know where it goes.
I'm always networking. I'm gonna call somebody before I try to make something of it myself. Because this person might know this person who knows that person who knows this person
Come
who
on, come
they,
on.
and you know what I mean? And then like, and so it's just it is right. Start what you have, but like you have relationships. Start there.
That's right. Any last words to our listeners, Derek?
And trusting God always, like I said, life will give you everything that it has to offer, good and bad.
Yeah,
And just an unwavering faith in the Lord, and even when people don't like you, or if people like you,
yeah,
maybe it's harder to trust in God when everybody's opinions of you are great. I
yeah,
don't know, but like, man, just trust and have faith in the Lord and His journey for you, over anybody else's journey or over what someone else is feeling about you.
So good.
It's trust in the Lord, faith in the Lord, fear of the Lord. Yeah,
Derek, it was a pleasure having you here on The Climb. Thank you so much for joining us.
absolutely.